Oh, that's why. Start streaming. Test two, three, four. Come on. You can do it. Test two, three, four. Okay, we're live.
Alrighty.
Our guest tonight is a leader in the Buffalo gaming community. Shock expression on his face. Was the leader of the Buffalo Pathfinder Society. Please welcome John O'Brien. John, welcome to Two Threats to from Gallifrey.
Thank you, Garrett. Glad to be here. Uh, the last Pathfinder Society coordinator from Buffalo, that is. There may be another one. We will see. Somebody picks up the ball,
Yeah.
but not me anymore.
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning. How did you get into gaming, man?
Well, way back when, like '83, I was playing D&D with friends, rarely, and then I went away for what, 30 years. And my wife's friend Dana Moore um, came over one night with Pathfinder Society, took us through this crazy museum with turned one of us into a feral ape-like man, and it was a blast. And then he was running Pathfinder Society. We would join, and then unfortunately life happened to him, and I guess I picked up the ball and lasted as long as I could. So yeah, coming it was a surprise. It was really my first role playing game world because in '83, Greyhawk was a thing, but not really. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was all new. This world of Galarian with guns and robots and horror and everything. Baba Yaga up in Irison. It was this expansive world, which was amazing. And I didn't know any better from the system. There's a reason they call it Mathfinder. Wow. Yeah. Plus two, plus four. Okay, is he behind cover?
Mm-hmm.
In the scrapbooks. And so
But what was it that really got to you about it? What was it that brought you back in a big time?
it, when I was in '83, I was a murder hobo like us all.
Mm-hmm.
I've grown beyond murder hobodom. So solving puzzles and getting to role play with people. This was exciting. I didn't do well, I was in a couple plays in high school by accident. I never really had the bug, and I found later that I kind of did. That it was great to be somebody else, and that led to GMing, and then you get to be all the people.
So are you? I know you're a big Critical Role fan. How have you taken that to heart? Are you? Do you perform all the characters when you do it all? How far into Mercer's shoes have you gone?
I try, and I also had to. I try funny voices. I'm terrible at them. It's but I try. Um, so I throw that into when I was running with Pathfinder Society. I did it when I was running Curse of Strahd. I don't know how Matt does it. Well, besides being a professionally trained actor, but he says he learned them all when he was DMing back in his teens. So
So what's the difference that you found between, as you said, ran Curse of Strahd, between AL and Pathfinder?
now,
How does everything set up differently? What advantages does one system have over the other?
now the advantages for Pathfinder Society is, I think, reportability. That truly, you know you can take these characters anywhere. They're portable. Your game master goes online, records your experience, and your next one down the line. Hey, here's my. You also have a sheet for every adventure you've been that's been signed. Tells you what items you got, what gold you got, and that you can take that anywhere, keep it in your folder, go across the world, and here's my character. And the disadvantage and one of the slight advantages in AL, I know you were talking about this last week with Tony and Rob, there's more flexibility in AL. There's not a whole lot more because you can't go completely off the rails, but in Pathfinder you had to run as written. You had to run completely as written. And thus, if they're an totally optimized character, you're going to steamroll an adventure and walk through it. And okay, I rolled a 30 on my diplomacy check. They are going to do whatever I want. Well, yeah, the DC was 15. Okay. Or they're plus, I've got this flat book, I'm getting plus 20 to hit this creature, and they don't roll a 1. So, so, and that was it was Paizo's way of making money. And I think the best analogy is similar to the downloadable content for video games. You can pay to optimize your character. As long as you buy the material, and they do make you, in Pathfinder Society, buy the material, you then get access to the math.
So who in the society does it? Is it the DMs responsible for their own material? Is it the coordinator who's responsible for it? Where does the material come from? As AO up here in Buffalo, we do the voluntary donation.
Yes, the GM is responsible for going to Paizo's site and paying usually $3 or $4 for a scenario to get, and then more to print it if you like working off a printed scenario. And they have all the maps you can buy. They have wonderful maps. But,
yes, they do.
But they have another expense to add to it, and of course another $40, $50 book to stay current with the new rules, and that comes out a couple times a year. So the onus really was on the GM to. It wasn't, but we'd have to trust your players to have the books. And I mean, I probably was far too lenient than Paizo would like. Books here, if you're trying to encourage it. AL.
So all books, when a new book came out, it was automatically allowable within Pathfinder Society play.
No, they have a list because there are some exploits they won't allow, and they don't let you go down the darkest path. There is no evil alignments in Pathfinder Society. It's so everyone plays chaotic neutral and pushes it towards, well, I'm chaotic neutral. That means I can be slightly evil.
That means I'm unpredictable.
Right. I can still, but if the GM feels you're being truly evil and gives you the warning and you persist, they can kill your character. They'll mark evil on your character sheet, and that character will be reported dead, which is a struggle for a lot of people. I know AL allows lawful evil. Lawful evil is so hard to play. So, and maybe it's all the artifacts of the alignment system anyway. You're trying to have people follow Wheaton's law, essentially. That's why they generally don't allow evil alignments.
Those campaigns don't last long. I've, with Chris Walk, tried to play many Imperial campaigns, and they don't usually go past the first session.
Now, it is funny because Pathfinder allows for credit their weeby goblins, where you are being goblins, and you have to be goblins and go crazy and kill dogs and horses because those are the mortal enemies of goblins. And you all turn on each other because you're goblins. Which
It's the
really
paranoia of Pathfinder.
exactly right. So yeah, so they did. I know they introduced an evil one shot for a special where the bulk of the players were playing the heroes trying to save the Pathfinder Society, whereas some of them got to be the evil ones from the Aspis Consortium trying to murder one of the big people in the society. So you got a high enough level, you got to do that. But
So let's talk about when you took over the Pathfinder Society. One, did you know how what you were stepping into, to what degree, and two, what were you accountable for? What was
I
expected
was,
of you?
did I know that? I had run a couple scenarios for Dana. QCC was the first time I'd run Pathfinder. A few of us, Robert and Phil, had Robert Durney, Phil Lennon, had run a couple of ones. Ed, his last name I'm not going to try and butcher, had also run a lot back when we were the first month or so after. So I'd seen that. You buy your own scenario, you do your prep. The rest of it wasn't that hard. You just go in, everyone's got a number, or you get them a number, you make sure you pass around the sheet to get their numbers, go in, plug and play. Here, I already enter in, here's the event, here are the people who played, here's the credit they got, boom, everything's nice. But again, if I think people had a good time while I was running for the most part. A few of them kept coming back. We never had a huge presence. I think Pathfinder Society, I don't know if we ever had more than 3 tables running at our height,
That's still good.
but it dwindled down to one fairly quickly after I took over. We lost because, well, Dana would run and we lost him. And other people would be, I mean, people moved on and I'd have to start over with the early level scenarios. And that's another weakness, I think. In D&D, you play 1 or 2 scenarios and you're level 3 with the experience. In Pathfinder, it's 3 XP, 3 scenarios for every level. You're at level 1 for 3 full scenarios. You're at
Mm-hmm.
level 2 for 3 full scenarios. So you have to play 6 times before you get that second feat. If you're a human, so you get your couple a few hundred gold, and you don't start getting the big ones. And then they have their wealth by level. So you have to get these magic items or you will die at higher levels. There was a progression, and there are threads on the Paizo site. If you don't have your ring of protection, your boosting item, and your magic weapon and your magic armor, you're going to die.
So people would know what modules those items were in and basically hunt for those modules to play in so they could get those items?
That is, you could, as long as you had the gold, you could buy them.
Oh, you could buy them.
Yes, as long as you, well, and it's assuming you're always starting in the Absalom, the center of the world, where everything's available. So, and you could only buy items up to your fame allowed this much. You had prestige points that let you get any for 2 prestige, which you should get after your first adventure. You could get any item up to 750 gold pieces. So that's your a wand of cure light wounds, or dragon hide breastplate, or
Mm.
a first bow. So, but yeah, a greenwood bow. So
What's your favorite memory of running the society?
my favorite memory was my wife's gnome druid, who was a Saurian shaman with a pet velociraptor named McNugget. This Nugget was amazing. Started out way too powerful. This uh, then there's moments where McNugget learned to juggle with a really high animal handling push and roll, and just getting to role play McNugget and detecting an invisible creature going like the little Jurassic Park. It was a um, and then she hit level 6, which allowed her to turn into dinosaurs, and she turned into a Triceratops. Totally wrecked these elfin warriors that are basically Vikings. She just came stomping down the beach, trampling them. She's over there saying, "I saved some," but it was just as amazing. This little gnome suddenly swelling to immensity into a
did did
Triceratops.
you get the Velociraptor miniature?
We have a Deinonychus from one of the sets. I do have a bit of a problem with buying miniatures, and I'm sure Joe and Dean thanked me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, but for the longest time, she had a little chicken we got in the QCC. Dinosaurs are just really big chickens. so, so that was her first McNugget mini was a chicken. But yeah, I had fun uh, for the most part running, but it was too much, and I I burned out. I
Was it
ran
was
out.
it, was it a weekly obligation? Was it a monthly obligation? Well,
I'm trying to run most weeks, so and then it got to be running Pathfinder and running Curse of Strahd, so I was
mm-hmm.
constantly swapping. I was mixing up rules, which saved one of my Curse of Strahd players' life when I forgot that there's no 5 foot step in D&D anymore. I was letting him walk step away from a shambling mound that he should have been swatted with attacks of opportunity the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, and I felt I was cheating people that way, and it's so I was probably running at least twice a month, often 3 times a month. But we had to cancel a few times because some people were coming from the south towns and couldn't make it. And you need at least 3 players to run a Pathfinder Society adventure. And you don't get those 3, you cancel. And
Mm.
that happened a few times, and I regretted it, but sometimes we pulled people in because
What
hang
make
around.
what makes a successful organized play system or in group?
I Good question. I think it's having a good, solid GM base. You can't do it with just one. You need to have everyone step up and share the load. You need to have people excited about the system and the have your system offer what the people want. I think Pathfinder Society doesn't give people what they want, the full breadth. They want all the options, the bells and whistles, and to be who they want to play as.
Mm-hmm.
And it is funny because the Pathfinder Society, the whole idea of it, you're grave robbers. You're Indiana Jones for the most part. The society goes and collects antiquities and tries to get their adventures written into the Pathfinder Chronicles. There's nothing inherently good about them, which theoretically, I mean, if you look at it, that sounds great and the scenarios are great, but well, most of them there's clunkers in everything.
Right.
But and never saw. At least I couldn't keep people coming. I mean, I get a few people. We get to second or third level, and maybe they got frustrated. They never told me because they stopped coming. That it was taking too long to level and get to the cool stuff. Because let's face it, first and second level, not that exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Is it? What about the how successful does it have? Can you be with a non Pathfinder, non Dungeons and Dragons thing? I'm trying to build the Cult of Chaos for Call of Cthulhu, and is it possible to build a successful organized play with not one of the two big games?
I hope so because that Cult of Chaos was so much fun. It's yeah, got, got a sale for one of those local stores from that. Um, it's and maybe we all need to be a little more polygamerous. D&D is the big boy on the block. Pathfinder was for the longest time because people missed 3.5, which I missed entirely. I was out of gaming for 3.5. So I want to see people get into these other games. We're attending Day of Fate or the Savage Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
which now I don't know because you're the GM right now, um, for the Call of Cthulhu, how they are asking you to. I know you talked about in last week's episode about the reporting. Just tell them
Yeah.
it sounded cool. They
It
just tell
sounded
those
cool.
stories.
I sent the latest report in a few days ago to Mike Mason, the developer of the game, and I turn on my Facebook. There's a message from him talk in response to my story about how I threw Mike Carney at the car as it was on fire, and he just responded, "Chaos."
It's, now, and it's funny because Cthulhu is one of those big nerd things that everyone says they love. And I'd love to see this spread because, and I don't know how many people you can hold in your game, and I don't know who else could probably run it, probably or run it nearly or half as well as you could. So
We
it's
if we Tim Hannon's been on is on call. Chris Walk has been on call for when we need to step it up and get more people and things. They've both are established keepers.
well, there you go. Okay, so you got people who can run it, and I barely. I'm reading the system now. So I do wonder if it's one of those things where less is more, like paranoia. If you know the rules, you know too much. You kind of start working in your head what you can do, and you keep that.
I think it's about not making. Definitely, you don't know the story. You want to go in completely blank to the story. You're gonna know if you read a book, some bad things are gonna happen. You know the things that you should be avoiding. And the joke is you can't have a successful character last and be sane. Where Shane Hensley, who created Savage Worlds, he built Deadlands after basically as a response to an idea from one of his campaigns of playing Call of Cthulhu, where he had a character last for like 15 years in Call of Cthulhu, and he wrote that character into Deadlands.
I'm trying to figure out how that Lovecraft is spinning around in his grave.
Yeah,
Oh man, you can't deal with this stuff. If your system allows you to deal with elder gods, it's OP. I'm sorry. That's the whole point of Cthulhu. He's going to squish. He squishes boats.
yep. You're going to be smashed. You're going to be driven mad. You're going to be thrown into the burning car.
Poor Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Disappearance.
But just like in Paranoia, it was more fun to keep him alive than to kill him.
Absolutely. Well, paranoia, as long as the death is really funny. They got another
Death
one
is
coming.
fun, but it's always good to start cutting off arms and legs and let them bleed and not give them the death.
Oh, I need to play a paranoia game with you sometime. Let's see when the new system, the new version comes out. So, yeah,
We will yes, I will definitely be running it all over the place once I get my box in.
that sounds amazing. So, so you were asking what's going on now, and
Yes,
the cult of chaos. We're definitely sticking with that because
cool.
it was a blast running the Extra Life campaign and trying desperately to go mad with my psychopathic killer, but
It was fun.
oh,
It was fun that you couldn't stay seated. That you had to get up and move around. That you had so much energy in you on that.
thank you. I think trying to stay awake, but right now, other than just taking them as they come, Savage Sundays, the Day of Fates, um, I'm taking a break from D&D this season after the complete burnout of
Mm-hmm.
after Pathfinder Society and Crystal Strahd. So probably be going into that again. I do find, and as we talked about Critical Role, that none of them really gives you that true Critical Role spirit. That
No.
building your campaign and interacting with your fellow players. I had a little bit of that in Pathfinder Society when I was playing. Ed would play this little psychokineticist Dune, and he always wanted me to play my female uptight rogue mother figure for. He would always play her Yoon teasing Alina, and it was, you have to play her, come on. So we had a nice little dynamic for a couple scenarios, but you don't have that real growth with the characters over 4 years now that they're playing. McNugget head growth, yes. And if you got one more level, McNugget would have really had growth and moved from small to medium size, and then you could have ridden. And then we would have had a mounted gnome druid on a medium-sized velociraptor running through.
Incredible fun. Then
I'm
get
gonna
some ranks in cavalry and.
so yeah, I do run a home campaign with my family, which is which was nice. My niece came up to me and said, "Can we play D&D sometime?" Because she had seen it on Big Bang Theory, and not my favorite show, but she wanted to play D&D because of it. So, all right. And she's got her little elf ranger, and she just got a baby owl bear.
Aw.
Yes, and after we were finished this, I'm going over to give GMing tips to my nephew because his friends want him to run a campaign.
How, how how do you feel it's coming with the new generations? Are they? Is it because of video games that they're picking this up so quickly? Is their imaginations much greater than past generations? Why? How? Because I'm seeing this with my nephews too, that they're just can't get enough of role playing.
I don't know. It's I'd never seen the kid put down his Game Boy until he gave him the player's handbook and he got a picture of him reading what he can do. Uh, I know I follow a lot of critters, the Critical Role fans on Twitter, and a lot of them are younger, but late teens, early 20s, and they all want the heavy role play experience that we didn't I didn't do when I was 13 or because then
Mm-hmm.
it was they don't want to be murder hobos as much. They want the character interaction, and maybe it's because they're fans of Critical Role, but my eh, my niece my niece wants to really role play. My nephew wants to be a murder hobo. He's
Mm.
13, and he wants to build a dungeon for them that's all traps and monsters, and that everything will be. He wants to kill his friends. He wants them to love
That's my middle nephew.
it. So we'll see how that goes.
So, where do you see the role of organized play in in the future, as far as the gaming industry? Do you see it carrying on, or do you see it as a transitory thing for people to meet people, almost like speed dating, find a group and then break off from it and go your own way?
I think for a lot of us, that's an ideal, and I think there are people who it's like there's no such thing as bad pizza. There's no such thing as a bad role playing experience, which we know there is, both bad pizza and
Mm-hmm.
bad role playing. But they will come out and they're going to do and nurture and give back to the community and stick with organized role playing to hopefully keep the next generation learning, because that's what it's I think it's there for. It's the easiest way to find a game. Go to your friendly local game store. You can step in, get a character, start with a pre-gen, get the sense of what it's like, get caught up with it, keep coming, but then develop a few friendships and then want something a little bit more than organized play offers you. And we're going to return to AL next season because I think it is a giving back situation.
Mm.
Let's inspire. It's maybe not every week, maybe not like every Wednesday or Tuesday and Wednesday or Monday, and then on the weekends as well. But just we want people to become gamers. That's and let's spread the gospel of Critical Role as well.
Have you heard about Grog?
And then there's Percy, and then Scanlan. You have to hear what Scanlan did. There will never be another bard like him. He has kind of ruined. Sam Riegel has ruined bards for all of us.
He's raised the bar.
One whole wing in the D&D Hall of Fame just for his song parodies.
Mm-hmm.
And throw Matt in there as well, because Matt Mercer, I got the pleasure of meeting him down at Techo in Pittsburgh, and he did a few panels, he and Marisha Ray. And he is the best ambassador for D&D. I think Wizards of the Coast recognizes that.
Yeah.
This kind, amazingly talented, amazingly creative, humble man who makes really weird faces, has amazing voices, and will make you cry at a fictional character and have your heart in your throat for another one.
Yeah.
I love Chris Perkins, but Force Gray's live tonight when we're recording this, and I want to see what they do, because I'm going to try not to be too obsessive or Critical Role, but everyone should watch it.
What's
I
the
think
biggest lesson that you've taken from Critical Role? What's the the first thing that enters your mind that you learned as a GM from Matt?
story trumps rules. And this was a problem with Pathfinder Society where rules had to be trumped everything. But let the story flow, and let people get swept up in the story. You can certainly try. It is a great thing to tell somebody if they want to do something epic. We want those epic moments. We want people standing and cheering when they bring down the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
We want them the sense of fear on their faces when they are truly overwhelmed. We're building a communal story. That's what role playing should be about, and that's what I think Matt Mercer has taught me.
And he's definitely taught me that too. Thank you, John, for joining us tonight, talking about your experience with Pathfinder and about what you've learned as a GM and about the art of game mastering.
Well, thank you for having me, Garrett. I'm looking forward to our next game.
Yes, it will be a lot of fun as you see what happens next. As I can't tell you anything.
I'll be quivering with dread.
With chaos.
Absolutely.
And